Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Postgame Podcast presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. We are live at the DNVR bar here in Denver, Colorado, home of the Avalanche, who were victorious over the Blackhawks 5-2 in the first game of the year. And I'm here with Mario Tirabassi. Greg Boyson is at the Ball Arena and will join us later on in the show with all the post-game news and notes. But here we are, 81 more to go. The first tank victory is in the books for the Blackhawks.
We got through it, ladies and gentlemen.
And I got to say, this is pretty much exactly what we expected to happen. I will even go as far to say that the Hawks were better than I thought they might be in this game.
If you were to tell me that the game was going to end 5-2, I was going to be very surprised.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, outside of the score, I was surprised that it was 5-2. I really thought, like, as much as we joked, like, oh, it's going to be 8-1. There was a part of me that truly believed the Avs were just going to run the Blackhawks off the ice and off the scoreboard. Now, the product on the ice looked exactly as I expected. Mm-hmm. The Avalanche were by far the better, more talented, faster, more well-oiled team. We knew that already. Absolutely. That was not a surprise.
Yes.
What was surprising a little bit is, Kyle Davidson and Luke Richardson have both talked so much this offseason.
There goes Nux.
Poor Nux. That's all right.
Allie is sabotaging us. Just slap it right in a brick wall there.
Our makeshift CHGO little home away from home. Anyways, that'll work. Whatever. We're making it work.
Logos going out. You're going to put a Jay Cutler jersey out here next.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you, Ellie.
What was I talking about?
Hockey.
Kind of. The messaging we've gotten from Luke Richardson and Kyle Davidson about the Blackhawks is that they wanted to establish a culture of the team that they are going to, they're not going to outgun teams this season, but they want to establish the culture of hard work and, finishing shifts and winning those battles, because you're not going to out-talent teams, but you can try and outwork teams and put that into practice. And I think what we saw was, yes, they didn't outwork the Avalanche. They weren't going to. But that mentality was there. They were working hard every shift. They were not, they were getting pinned in their zone a couple of times, but they weren't coming out of those and, slamming sticks and getting frustrated, because we saw that last year. A lot of frustration with the lack of results and the losing games and things like that. We saw the frustrations come out with the players. With the players, it's game 1. If we see this in game 30 and game 50, where they're still playing at that level and still finishing those plays and playing with that, that tenacity, that's going to be a big testament. But to be able to buy into that and play that way, especially in a game where you probably know that you're not going to win, that you're going to have a long night, that's what you want to see. That's the kind of culture that the Blackhawks are trying to build. And yes, the fact that most of the players on the roster tonight are not going to be around when the team is competitive, it still goes a long way to establishing what it means to be a part of this new era of the Chicago Blackhawks, where you're going to go out there and you are going to, every shift is 100%. You don't take shifts off. You go to the hard areas of the ice. You go into the corners. You go to the front of the net, and you battle. You battle every night. And Sam Lafferty last season became a favorite of the show, and again tonight, he was one of those players that you point to and say, that's the guy that gets it. That's the guy that is what Kyle Davidson wants the blueprint of the team to follow. A guy that's going to skate hard, battle, fight, and literally sometimes fight.
Yeah. Yeah, and we were talking with our DNVR buddies during the game. They were doing a live simulcast and just mentioned how Lafferty is so indicative of what this regime is trying to make this team look like. north and south, between the dots, finishing checks, dropping the gloves if they have to. And it's also, as Brandon brings up here in the chat, and thanks for the super chat, Brandon. We'll get to it here in a second. It is Luke Richardson's style. That's the kind of player Luke Richardson was, and that sort of thing reflects on the team, and the team reflects the coach. And you're seeing that. Now, the big challenge for the Hawks is going to be in January, February, March, when they're way out of it and they've had several long losing streaks and things are just not going right. How does he keep them motivated? That's going to be the challenge. But for now, you're seeing a team that is basically a team of strangers when you think about it. A lot of these faces are new. A lot of these guys haven't played together before, and they're learning how to play as a team in a new system with a new coach. Like, it's a whole new thing for these guys, and it's a little bit unfortunate that they had to start the season against a juggernaut like the Avalanche in Denver on banner night. Like, everything was stacked against the Hawks in this one, and I don't know how anybody can come away from this game angry. Right?
Yeah.
There's moments, right? Like, some bad penalties, sure. There were also some really ticky-tack ass penalties in this game. The Jonathan Toews cross-check was a complete dive. The Jujhar Khaira penalty in the third period was a complete joke. I mean, look, we're not going to bitch about refs, but the truth is the truth.
It's early season officiating.
Yes.
It'll change in a month.
But the Hawks have to stay out of the box. And you're going to play against a team like Colorado. You can't give them 6 power plays.
Yeah, not at all.
That's not I don't care which team. I don't care if it's Phoenix. You can't give them 6 power plays.
Yeah.
You know, you just can't play that way. But I don't know. As the game, like, again, the first shift, you and I looked at each other like, oh no.
I was
be one of these.
I was teleported back to last season against the Avalanche.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was like, oh, this team is slow. This team is not looking like the team that we were expecting to see at the end of last summer, where it was like, oh, they might be a playoff contender. Like, I was like, oh, shoot. Like, I was expecting this, but it was just like, oh my God, like, to see it again is just like it's jarring. But I do want to make one point. We'll get to Brandon's super chat. Really appreciate it, Brandon. That you mentioned, and it's just like, yes, it is unfortunate to have to start the season against the defending champs, the cup favorites coming into this season again on banner night. You get all the energy and emotion into the building, but. And I put this out on Twitter, and sure, you can roll your eyes, you can laugh at me, whatever. I'm fueled by your hatred, but Blackhawks fans, I'm talking to everyone right now. You do remember winning cups and raising banners and what that felt like.
Yep.
It is just as important to remember that feeling as it is to remember this feeling tonight. Knowing, okay, we're about to get our teeth kicked in by the defending champions, and they are having their moment. Remember that feeling, because as Kyle Davidson said, and as we have said on this show, if you hop on the ride at the end of that journey, whenever it is, hopefully in our lifetime,
I hope so.
When the Blackhawks are raising their next banner for winning the Stanley Cup, you will have been here for the journey, and that moment will feel so goddamn sweet.
Yeah.
Remember that feeling. Sorry, Nux.
Well,
remember that feeling from tonight to that point, and it will be worth it.
And I think, this is not a criticism at all, and bandwagons are wonderful, but I think a lot of Hawks fans of this generation kind of jumped on as they got good in 2009, 2010. So the long suffering before then, a lot of people weren't part of.
Yeah.
I was. A lot of other people were. But when you see, let's think about, we got a lot of Cubs fans that watch this. There's a lot of crossover.
Yes.
From when Theo Epstein took over to the realization of the World Series, it was that much sweeter because you went from where you were to the ultimate pinnacle of baseball, and that was the best feeling. And you know what? Some of the most fun parts of that journey was you'd see the grainy highlights of Chris Bryant hitting a bomb in Iowa or Javier Baez making a spectacular play, right? Like you would get those little leaks from the prospects as they were coming up. That's where we are now. You're going to see highlights from Lucas Reichel in Rockford and Kevin Korchinski with the Seattle Thunderbirds making plays. And you'll be like, all right, this is where we're headed, right? This is what's coming down the pipe. And guess what? You're already watching Connor Bedard highlights. I know you are.
Yeah,
and
were last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Start watching Adam Fantilli highlights too and get excited. Like this can be fun. And it's going to be difficult and it's going to be a challenge for all of us to not live and die with the result of every game. But I will take this game as a tank win and a moral victory that they did not get laughed out of the building. And it could have easily gone that way. And had they had a different head coach and had a different kind of breed of player, it probably would have.
Yeah.
Things could have derailed in this game very easily, but the Hawks did not put their tail between their legs. They fought. They played hard. They did the best they could against a team that was so much better than them talent-wise. I mean, aside from Seth Jones and Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane, who on this roster is in the lineup for the Avalanche?
Oh, man.
Connor Murphy, maybe?
Murphy, they could probably find a spot for a guy like Max Domi.
Maybe. I mean, seriously.
I don't know. Yeah.
That's the reality of this.
Sam Lafferty,
And
maybe fourth line?
Maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
But that's it. I mean, you're talking about a true contender, potential dynasty in the making here in Colorado versus a team that is intentionally built to lose with some of the best players in the organization playing in Rockford.
Yeah, and that is very, very clearly by design.
Right.
And I think, in the long run, that should hopefully work out properly because the Blackhawks have a new development idea, development path for these young players where it's not going to be, throw them in the NHL because they're quote unquote ready.
Yeah.
They want the players to build a confidence, build a culture of success in the minors so that can trickle up to the NHL when they come along with them. We've talked about it before. We've seen it with guys like Kirby Dach, Adam Boquist, Henry Yogiharu. Even Nick Schmaltz at the beginning of his career needed to go down to Rockford to kind of be like, hey, let's try and reset things here and figure things out. And it worked for him for a short while with Chicago. You got to have guys be able to be ready to go unquestionably when they come up to the NHL, because when we talked about this on the crossover podcast yesterday, when it came to the Avalanche, they have players playing in their minor league system that I think a lot of Avs fans think like, why aren't they here in the NHL? They should be here. They've paid their dues. They've developed all these things. But the Avalanche have the mentality of, yeah, you could play in the NHL, but are you going to help us win?
Yeah.
And I think for the Blackhawks, even though they are very far away from where the Avalanche are in the pecking order of the NHL, they still want to have that mentality of, yes, you could probably play in the NHL, but are you going to be here in the NHL helping us win?
Right.
When they want to be ready to win is the thing. So I think that will take some time, and we've got a couple super chats in here that we want to get to. Brandon was talking about Athanasiou and Domi and Kane playing together, saying no way Domi and Athanasiou can play with Kaner. Look, playing with Patrick Kane is not as easy as I think a lot of people think
difficult.
it is. And yeah, you make the jokes like, I could play between Patrick Kane and get 30 points or whatever. Yeah, but there's a mentality of it, of being on a line with a guy who's going to the Hall of Fame and is still playing at an elite level. And even players that are at the top of their games and are playing, in their primes and have a lot of high level skill, you still step onto the ice with Patrick Kane, and it's just like there's a lot that goes into trying to match that level of skill and that level of ability, and very few players have been able to do that with Patrick Kane at that level. Alex DeBrincat was a player that could do that.
Yep.
He's an all-star caliber player. Artemi Panarin was able to do that. He's also an all-star caliber player. You know, it's very few and far between of guys who can play with Patrick Kane, play off him successfully, and not be overwhelmed with the idea of like, oh, I got to get the puck to Kane and see what happens, or be able to know and see the game the way he sees it, and be like, okay, he expects me to be here at this time. I have to get there. Like, that is very hard to do. So Max Domi, Andreas Athanasiou, they are very good players in this league. Like you said before, this is a team that's very strange to each other. A lot of new guys, a lot of young guys. So it's going to take some time. They've only had training camp to build a chemistry. It'll take some time. Am I on the verge of, or am I on the edge of saying like they can't play together? No, it's one game. They might be forced to play together because they're probably the three most skilled players offensively that you can put together to try and create a little bit of offense for this team. But
all right, we've got Greg Boyson standing by. Let's get to our other super chat before we move on to Greg.
Yeah, that was from Windy City Hockey.
Yeah, Windy City Hockey, just with some kind words for us. We appreciate those as always.
Right there, $5
appreciate it. It's going to be a long few years, but in the run, but in for the run. I can read. Let's go, Hawks. That's from Windy City Hockey. Thanks, man. And before we bring in Greg, we want to tell you about our friends at Green Ridge Farm. They're a Chicago local meat and cheese company, and they're offering you a better all-natural options. They're the makers of all-natural deli meat, sausages, and friends. Let me tell you about the famous meat sticks. Mm-hmm. Oh, they're so good. Perfect for tailgating, happy hour, school lunches. They're all natural. Hardwood smoked for 8 hours, and with 16 grams of protein per stick, they make a perfect post-workout snack. I'll let you know if it ever happens. Meat sticks come in chicken, Black Forest beef, and flavors like jalapeno cheddar. That's my favorite. And the spicy chili. You got to try these. They're incredible. Look in your cooler at Costco, Sam's Club, or your local Chicagoland grocery store. Again, all natural. These recipes are generations in the making. Awesome, awesome stuff from Green Ridge Farm. And remember, right now, order any 3 meat products at greenridgefarm.com. Add those meat sticks to your cart. They'll be free. Nothing better than free meat. Mm-hmm. Just use that code CHGO when you check out, and you'll get those meat sticks for free. Green Ridge Farm, simply natural meat.
And if you're talking about bang for your buck and value, you are also not only talking about Green Ridge Farms and their quality meats and cheeses, but you're also talking about Game Time and the Game Time app, the best way to get tickets to any big event, sporting or concert or whatever it is. The best way to do that is to go through Game Time, download the Game Time app, and join over 15 million people who have done the same and have found the best ticket prices for all the events that you want to go to. If you want to go to a Blackhawks game this year, I highly advise you, as we have throughout the off season, and now as the regular season begins, opening night, October 21st, against the Red Wings. Good tickets available. Yep. I'm sure of it. Go onto the Game Time app. Pretty close to puck drop. Same day, you're going to have a lot of very valuable prices there on those tickets to get into the game. And the thing with Game Time is there's a lot of different apps out there that can get you good prices. With Game Time, if you find a ticket to a game at a lower cost, you won't. But if you do, in the off chance, they will match that price and give you that price through the Game Time app. They are very good at being able to do that. Great customer service. So be sure to check out the Game Time app. You can get tickets to all of your favorite events, Blackhawks games, Bulls games. NBA season is around the corner as well. By going to the link in the description on YouTube and on our allchgo.com page, go to that link. It'll bring you to the Game Time site, and you can get your tickets through there. That's the best way to do that. And it's definitely going to come in handy as the season gets underway.
Home opener for Hawks versus Red Wings, $49. How about the Florida Panthers, Cup contender, $15 will get you in. How about Connor McDavid in the Edmonton Oilers, $16 to see Connor McDavid come to the UC.
Not bad.
Game Time is the place to go. And now we're going to go to our buddy, live from the Ball Arena. I said ball.
Ball.
Here's Greg Boyson. What's up, buddy? How are you?
Doing good. Yep, you got me now? All
Yep.
right,
Yeah,
I'm
we
doing-
got you.
Who talked? Who
I'm-
said some things?
Yeah, players and coaches and
Ah.
guys. We got to talk to Jonathan Toews. Of course, he had a big crowd around him after the game, and he pretty much said, I'm sure, exactly the same thing you guys are saying. Too many penalties, too many trips to the box. You can't do that against this team. Overall, he was pretty happy with the effort. He said the first and third periods were pretty good at 5-on-5 when they were able to play 5-on-5. He liked their effort. And you know what? I'm going to go on the record here and eat a little crow because I've been hard on Jonathan Toews during the preseason because it just didn't look great in the preseason. But he played a great game tonight. He had that power play goal. Luke Richardson after the game was praising what Toews was doing on the bench while he wasn't on the ice. Said he was being a very vocal leader. He was keeping guys engaged. And he credited that third period pushback a lot to what Jonathan Toews was doing when he wasn't on the ice. So I'm going to give the captain some credit. He had a rough preseason, but he looked really good tonight. So hats off to 19 on a very good game.
If you're looking at if you're a Corsi person, Jonathan Toews 63.16 in a game the Hawks lost 5-2. That's really effing good.
Yeah.
Him, Regula, Johnson, Radish,
Which
the
Johnson?
four Tyler, the four Blackhawks over 50%.
Hey, that's good.
At 5-on-5, this game wasn't terrible.
Right.
Yes, the Avs were faster. Yes, the Avs had more shot attempts. They had the puck more. We expected that. They're the better team by football field. They're better.
Yeah.
But at 5-on-5, and Toews said it, 5-on-5 it was there. But you can't give this team 7 power plays or whatever it was. They scored 4 power play goals. You can't do it. And you can't do that against any NHL team. You do that against this team, and you get exactly what you got.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, what was any comments from Toews about scoring in the first game of the season after taking 26 games to score last season?
Yeah, he kind of laughed and said, yeah, we're really not going to go there about how long it took him last year. But, he had a smile about it. You could tell he was happy with that play. And, there were some positives to take out of this game. The power play looked good. Toews had that goal, some great passing set up that play. The pass Tyler Johnson made to Max Domi. Max Domi talked briefly too, and he credited, he says that's an elite hockey pass that set up the goal. He had the easy part. So the power play was good. And the faceoffs, they won 61% of the faceoffs tonight and didn't have a single player under 50%. It's going to be exhausting to sit here and talk about all the bad things all year. So I'm going to make a real good effort to try and point out positive things. So the power play, the faceoffs, those are things that you can look at and say, hey, those were victories tonight. And the overall team effort was there. It was there in the third period. The second period, Luke Richardson said the team was unaware. He used the word unaware about 5 times describing the second period, saying they just weren't paying attention to the situations, trying to take line changes when they weren't there, not realizing when you should be dumping the puck, when you should be, picking up your guy. Unaware is what he used the second, but he said he was very happy with the first and third period. So the effort was there tonight. The talent just isn't.
Yep.
So if we get this every night, you can't really be too mad. Now it's going to be interesting to see come January, February, and they've lost 7 of 8 or 11 of 12, whatever it is, if that effort is still there. But, as far as what you had expectations for this game, I think you got exactly what you thought was going to happen here. Too many penalties, but overall, there's not a lot to be mad about.
No, you're right about that. And I would say at least 2 of the penalties were pretty ticky-tack. The Toews cross-check and the late penalty to Jujhar Khaira was a little bit like, what are we doing here?
That was a superstar call. That was Nate McKinnon tripping himself and getting a call. Toews even mentioned that. He said that, we took a lot of stick penalties and we can't do that, but there were a couple of those that, probably shouldn't have been penalties. I'm sure he was referring to his interference call on Bowen, who, you thought there was a sniper in the 300 level that took him out the way he went down. So, both of those plays, you could have taken both guys off. I thought so, but you didn't.
A couple little news items I want to get to, and I don't want to catch you off guard with any of these things, so I'm not sure if they were addressed at all. Number one, Andreas Athanasiou takes a knee to the helmet in the third period on a really violent collision in the corner. Never saw him go to the locker room. Saw him go straight to the bench.
Yeah.
Is he just fine? Is it?
There was no update. Nobody even asked, to be honest with you. I didn't see him in the locker room, but there wasn't a lot of guys there. They're leaving right away.
Yeah,
on
right.
The bus to
Yeah,
the
they got to
airport.
hit to Vegas.
So, it was bare bones in the locker room. Didn't see him, but he did stay on the bench for the rest of that game. He never went to the locker room. So I'm going to make the assumption he's okay, but I'm sure they're going to check him out once they get to Vegas.
And then there are some tweets going around that Patrick Kane was caught on a hot mic shouting at Seth Jones, saying, "What the F are you doing?" On a play. So, look, these things happen between competitors, but we should address it. If I didn't see it, I didn't hear it. Once I saw it on Twitter, it was too late for us to really go find it anywhere.
Yeah.
But just something to keep an eye on as the frustration begins to mount. But again, like you said, Greg, you said this game went as expected. I think it went better than expected. I think, like you said, at 5-on-5, they were good. Not good. They were fine. And the power play was good. There are definitely some positives, and it's kind of a shame for the Hawks when you consider all the things that happened. New coach, tons of new players, new system put in, that they've got to play in Colorado against the best team in hockey on their banner night. It was a lose-lose situation for them, and I'm really anxious to see how they play against lesser teams like literally everybody else in the league. Vegas, tough matchup. San Jose, I think that's going to be a pretty good gauge to see exactly where this team is.
Yeah. Yeah, and as far as the Jones-Kane stuff goes, I wouldn't read too much into it. I think I didn't see the exact play when it happened, but I kind of looked back in the intermission, and it was on the power play at the end of the second period. Seth was kind of just like at the blue line, not really doing much of anything. But in his defense, like just prior to that, he had like an almost 3-minute shift. I think he was completely out of gas. And if that was the case, that's on the coaches for putting him out there. That like if he's out of gas, I know you want your top power play unit out there, but you got to be like, hey, sit this one out and put somebody else over the board. I wouldn't read much into that. Jones and Kane were both in the locker room, literally sitting right next to each other, talking to each other after the game. It's not frustration. Patrick Kane wants out of here 2 periods into the season. Relax. It's a heat of the moment. It's one of the most competitive guys on the planet. Just being upset because they couldn't cash in on a power play. Move on.
Did Richardson talk any about Peter Mrazek at all? Because I feel like he had a very tough game. Obviously, having to face the Avalanche and the firing squad that he was probably expecting to face, I think he didn't do so bad. Did Richardson say anything about that?
The only thing he really touched on with Mrazek was the penalty kill gave him no shot. They said the penalty kill left him out to dry, and they got to do that better than that. So when you take away that, and the one 5-on-5 goal he let in, it was a late redirect. So you can't really fault him for any of those goals against. And it was a Peter Mrazek game. He was good. The rebounds were they left a lot to be desired, but for a first game of the season, he made some big stops. There were a couple plays really early in the game where it was McKinnon and Makar back-to-back had close-range shots, and he stopped them both when the game was still scoreless. I think that got him into his groove. But, those goals on the power play, he never saw any of those pucks. Like, the Avs got traffic in front of them, and you can't save what you can't see, so you can't pin any of those goals on him. So, overall, I think the team was satisfied with what they got out of Mrazek.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty pleased with this play. I got a bunch of people in the chat sort of agreeing, and he's going to be an interesting player to watch this year too, because he's a guy who last year Toronto pegged to be their guy on the run to the Cup. Had a great season in Carolina a while back. Just has been sort of injury plagued, so it's kind of hard to judge his recent seasons. But hey, it's also going to be tough to judge him on a team as as not unstacked as the Blackhawks.
Yeah, I think Mrazek will be fine. Like, you got to remember, his last 2 contracts were given to him by teams with Stanley Cup aspirations.
Yep.
The Carolina Hurricanes and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Those are 2 teams that are trying to win a Stanley Cup, and they brought him in. So Mrazek's biggest issue the last 3 or 4 seasons has been his health. When he's been healthy, he's been a decent to better than average starting goalie in the NHL. So I'm not going to rag on him too often this season because, man, he's going to have some rough nights out there.
Yeah.
But it will get better. The Hawks, veteran defenders, they're going to get healthy. Again, outside of the PK, 5-on-5, the defense was fine. It wasn't outstanding, but considering what you had, the matchups, they did just as good as you could, better than what you would have expected.
All right, we've not done our we have not discussed for the first time our 4 stars of the game. So let's just do them on the fly here. The 3 stars, Nichushkin, Rantanen, and Lehkonen, 3-2-1, all for Colorado. Because we don't have the graphic, I don't have to go first.
Well, I already gave mine. I praised Jonathan Toews, so he's my 4th star.
Fair enough. Mario, you
All
go
right.
second.
I will give it to someone that I've already heaped some praise on in today's show. Sam Lafferty. I think he had a game that you are going to expect to see from him. What we saw from him last season, I think he carried it over to this first game tonight, skating hard, finishing checks, and when a game is out of reach as it was in the third period, he's still his GAF meter was high, and he got in the face of Josh Manson, and Manson basically said, like, do you want to do this? Shaking his gloves, and Lafferty was like, screw it, yeah, let's go. And he stepped up when he had to, and he showed some fight at the end of a game where the Blackhawks, they didn't have a shot, and they gave the Avalanche the best shot that they could. So I'm props to Sam Lafferty, this first of many 4th stars I'm sure he'll get to this season.
I'm going to give mine to Philip Kurashev, who I thought had a really solid game, assisting on Jonathan Toews' goal. He
Great
played,
pass.
what did he play? I just lost my screen here. 15-22, 2 hits, obviously pick up the assist, played penalty kill, played even strength. This is a guy I really got my eye on this year because the Hawks need to figure out what Philip Kurashev is and if he is in the long-term plans. And I think he's got a little bit, he wants to prove himself a little bit too. And I've been reading a lot of stuff from like people around the league. I saw The Athletic publish their annual let's talk to the scouts kind of a thing, and people who observe prospects really seem to like Kurashev. I like his game. I think when he gets more opportunity in the top 6, he's going to be more visible. But I liked his game. I thought the pass he made was beautiful. A lot of other nice little plays from Kurashev. So I'm going to give it to Philip Kurashev in this one. But Greg, Toews, I want to make sure I say it too because I haven't yet. You're right. Like, he was really solid in this game. And after watching him in the preseason, I had some major concerns about his level of preparedness for the season, his GAF meter, all those sort of things. But for one game, he was the best Blackhawk, I think, significantly. And hopefully it continues because, if they want to trade him, they want him to be playing well. They also want him to be in a good headspace to help this team compete, right? If he's going to be pouty, then this whole thing could be, you could just completely poison the whole thing, and that would be awful. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Luke
he stays
Richardson needs that locker room to be able to, or needs Toews to be able to, be a positive influence on that locker room as long as he's here.
Well, according to Luke Richardson, he was that tonight. He was
Good.
over the moon for what he was doing off the ice. So really good start for number 19. Very encouraging. Again, we'll see how this goes as the season goes and as things get tougher down the road, but a very good start. And one other thing before I drop off here, they brought Jack Johnson out in the tunnel afterwards because I think a lot of the Colorado media wanted to talk to him. And a couple of really cool things. he was rocking his Stanley Cup ring. This thing is like as big as a snow globe. It was insane. But he was like, hey, he's like, it's banner raising night. It's the only night I'm ever going to wear this thing, right? So he enjoyed that. He had said it was actually Jonathan Toews who encouraged him to go out for the banner raising ceremony. And then he said, hey, Toews told Johnson and said, hey, if you want the entire team to go out on the bench and support you during this, we'll do it. And he says, no, you guys stay back, prepare for the game. I'll go out there. So again, there's
awesome.
some leadership from Jonathan Toews.
Great.
And then the last moment, right when he got out there and started talking, Gabriel Landeskog, the captain of the Avalanche, peeked his head in, gave him a big hug, and so that was a cool moment to see that, Jack Johnson, say what you want about him, about his level of play. He is an A-plus guy. He is a great guy, great character guy to have on this team, and, I think he's going to be a guy that we're probably going to hear from a lot this year as it gets tough down the stretch. He's the pro that will come out and talk after, game 6 of a 6-game losing streak.
Yep. Hey, you know what? Character matters, because you need to set a tone for the young guys that are here, that might be part of the future here. And 82 games is a long-ass time, win or lose. So you got to keep this team afloat and motivated as long as you can. So it's great to hear that Jonathan Toews, for one game at least, seems to be really on board and doing the right things. And look, like, we kind of panned him last year for saying, like, I don't know how to be a leader on a team like this. Well, maybe he took some messages. Yeah. And maybe being with a guy like Luke Richardson, who has a long career with battle scars, mentally, physically, you could look at his face and see him. The guy's been through the wars. Playing for a guy like that, I think can make a difference. And he's clearly got the respect of the team. And in a happy and motivated Jonathan Toews, there's no negatives there. Whichever storyline you're looking at, trade, team, whatever, happy and motivated Jonathan Toews is a good thing for everybody. Mm-hmm. So good for him. I'm happy to hear that. That's great.
Yeah, encouraging start even with a loss. But you know what? This is the exact kind of games you want to see every night.
Tank win.
A competitive loss.
Yep. And Montreal won. So the Hawks have
a
2-point lead in the Tank for Bedard sweepstakes. We got to get a graphic going for the Tank for Bedard standings, like reverse standings.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
Thank you, Toronto Maple Leafs, for doing what you do best and piddling down your legs.
Yes.
We owe you one.
I'm sure there's panic in the streets in Toronto tonight.
Oh, yeah, everybody sucks. Everybody needs to get traded. Yeah, it's glorious.
Yeah, it's great. All right, man. We appreciate you. Have a great night. Have a safe trip home. We'll see you in a bit.
Yeah, I'll see you guys there at the bar in a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
All right, good night, guys.
All right, that is Greg Boyson from the Ball Arena. And it's funny. It's like, I think everybody went into tonight, I'll say, like, just butt cheeks clenched. Like, oh my God, this has the potential to be a 60-minute freaking nightmare. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't. And I don't know, like, let me know in the chat, like, are you guys excited for the next game? Is that weird? That, like, hey, hockey's back. And even bad hockey is better than no hockey.
Yes.
And I am very much looking forward to tomorrow night's game. Like, I'm just like, let's go. Bring it on. Let's see what this team can do. I have very low expectations. They're going to be one of the 3 worst teams in the league. This beard is long gone, okay? It's going to be gone. Coach Shooter Zawaski is going to be here very, very soon. But entertain me. Just entertain me. Show me signs of life. Show me signs of caring. They did that tonight, and I hope it continues.
Yeah, I think it's, we talked all summer about, this season and what to expect and how bad it will be, and, knowing that the losses were coming. And I think to start the season,
the flies are
I have to address this. There is a fly
they have been
in here
bugging us for 2 days.
Eventually going to find its way down my throat. I'm sure of it. Anyways, I mean, it's we've gotten to this point now where the season is here. We're finally here. We're playing hockey that matters, and nothing has changed as far as the expectation of losses, but. To get to a point where now we can actually see what this team is going to be, what the season's going to be like. We can actually get into it, and you know, we talked about this today, earlier today as a group. You know, we've spent the off season telling you, the fans, and kind of convincing ourselves, like, yes, the season's going to be very hard. This team's going to be very bad. Most games are going to be very hard to watch. I think we're all in agreement that now that the season has started, we have laid the groundwork for what this season probably will likely feel like, what it will be like, what the games are going to be like, and we are going to put a stop to saying it's going to be bad, because we're here. Now, let's find what's going to get us through this season.
Yep.
And what is going to make this season exciting. And I think, you know, we saw tonight, not every game is going to be like that. There will be games where it's 6-0 after 2 periods, and it's just like, can we simulate the third period and just get to the end of this thing? I don't want to play this game anymore. Let's just get it over with. There will be nights like that. But I think starting off with a game like this where, you know, we talked about, like, this season having games where it's like entertaining, there are things you can pull away from it, but you're also like, yeah, they still lost, and the big picture goal is still Connor getting the best odds at landing Connor Bedard. That you started off exactly with the blueprint of what a game like that looks like, and to do it against the arguably best team in the league gives you some hope that, like, yeah, they probably can still have some games where there are positives. There are things you can take away from it and be like, that's something that they can, you know, Luke Richardson talks about video all the time. That's something that they can take back and say, like, here, this was successful. Let's keep replicating this. And even in a 4-2 loss, a 5-3 loss, a, you know, 3-2 overtime loss, whatever it is, there are things that they can pull away and say, these are the positives and these are what they can build on, while still being at the bottom of the league.
Yep. No doubt. By the way, I have once again failed at my job. Make sure you smash that like button for us. We've got about almost 100 people in the chat, give or take. Hit that like button. We'd greatly appreciate it. Make sure you are subscribed on your favorite podcast app. And, of course, become a member at allchgo.com. You know why? Not only do you get a free T-shirt, you get access to our Discord. Mm-hmm. We did a giveaway in our Discord today. The predictor of the first goal won a CHGO T-shirt. So we're going to get that sent out. We got to see what's cool about being here at DNVR is we got to see the merch room.
Yeah.
Where all of the DNVR, PHNX, and CHGO shirts live. We kind of ransacked it. We tied Mitchell up and just took everything we wanted.
Yeah, if there's any delays in shipping, you can blame us. Sorry. They got to restock the shelves.
But I know some chubbos like me were looking forward to the double extra large CHGO Blackhawks shirts. They are back in stock. So if you've been waiting to sign up at allchgo.com or have been wanting to order a CHGO Blackhawks shirt at chgolocker.com, the double X shirts are back in stock. So let's do it. Join those. And I know our guy Lawrence is in the chat. We got to give him props for recommending Torchy's Tacos today, which apparently
absolutely.
You mention a restaurant and people in Chicago got to say, there's better taco places in Chicago. I know. It is okay to like things from 2 different places. You don't have to fight about everything. The world's on fire. Shut up. Anyway, thank you for the recommendation at Torchy's. We ate so much freaking food. Me, the fat guy, almost had to tap out. But I powered through. I got through it. Mm-hmm. I did well, finished it up, and I did not need any food until like 8 o'clock tonight. And the food here at the DNVR bar is fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Very good.
So look forward to that when a CHGO bar opens sometime soon. So anyway, I don't know, man. I didn't know how you know, looking forward to this show, how would I feel at, 12:33 a.m. Central Time. No, I got it backwards. No, I got it right.
No, you're right.
Yeah, 12:33 Central Time. And I feel better than I expected. And I think that is a good thing. You know, I think that we can look at this season knowing that the results don't matter in terms of, well, you kind of want losses, but you want to see, again, those positive signs of chemistry and of systems and of, commitment, guys playing for each other. And I think that's something we haven't seen from the Hawks in a few years. And, it's funny. We were killing time today between morning skate and in the game, and we were watching that Ice Guardians documentary.
Oh yeah.
And I've always been like kind of on the fence about fighting, like, oh, it's concussions and we know so much. And I got to say, the Ice Guardians documentary it turned me into the thinky emoji. Interesting. But that stuff matters to the players.
Yeah.
And when they see Sam Lafferty, you're down 5-3 saying, all right, we're going to lose, but we're not going to go out without a fight, literally. And Sam Lafferty takes on someone who's a better fighter than him and Josh Manson and holds his own. That stuff resonates with players, and we talk so positively about Lafferty, but he is just such a representation of what the Hawks have not been for so long. And it was good to see. And I feel like we're kind of saying the same things, but it's just, I don't know. I'm surprised by how good I feel after this loss.
Yeah. I to be honest, I came into tonight, walking into the DNVR bar here and being one of like 3 people.
Yeah, there was another one.
There were 2 Hawks fans here, which really
didn't he win a raffle, Ellie? He won a raffle, right?
At his table.
Oh,
okay, yeah.
He did get booed.
It was there was some hearty boos for the 2 Blackhawks fans besides us that were in the bar. But yeah, I mean, walking into the bar, being one of like 3 people not wearing a Cale Makar or Nathan McKinnon jersey, and sitting down, and I was just like, all right, am I sitting down here to be surrounded by very friendly, very welcoming Avalanche fans as they celebrate 10 goals and their banner raising night? Like that. That's what I was in the back of my mind thinking like this night was going to be, and to come away with not 1, not 2, not 3. I'm sorry,
Take it easy, LeBron.
I'm taking your bit, but a handful of positive takeaways.
Yeah,
was not expecting that. So, yeah, it is a best case scenario start to the season, and I can only hope for the positives to continue. And like we've said, there will be nights where it's going to be very, very hard.
Yeah.
There'll be nights where they win a game that they're probably not supposed to, against, better competition, or, they get out. Hockey's like that. A team can get outplayed viciously and still, win a game 2-0 or whatever, just because of the way things bounce. But I think I am optimistic that this Blackhawks team, the coaching staff that they have headed up by Luke Richardson, the front office that they have, the blueprint and the plan and the direction that the organization is buying into and going into, and the plan that they have for the players that they want to be part of it, I have optimism for it. I have optimism that things are in place, that if they go well, you can read about it at allchgo.com. I posted it today. This may not be the decades-long trudge of a rebuild that some teams in the NHL have experienced, and some Blackhawks fans are dreading that this will be. I am optimistic that if it's executed properly, we are not going to have to go through a very long sucky period, and things could turn a corner pretty quickly.
Yeah,
I'm optimistic.
Fly just flew in my ear, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
By
the way,
the fly is optimistic.
You know what's funny is we are in game 1 of 82, and the draft discussion has already begun in the chat.
Yes.
I want Mitchkov. I want Fantilli. Fantilli's better than Bedard. We got a long time to talk about this, but because it's on everybody's mind, I was talking to AJ, who does the Avalanche podcast, and he was saying, like, when the Avs had their 48-point season, they talked about the draft on every show, because what else are you going to do? Remember with Mitchkov, the Russian factor is a huge factor right now, bigger than it's been in a long time.
Yeah.
There's a chance you draft him and he never plays here. That is a realistic chance. And if he does, 3 years, 4 years down the road, it is a risky pick. And yeah, he is a really big talent. And if he was from Canada, he might be number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2 for sure. But that Russian factor is a huge thing to consider. And as we look at where the Blackhawks are now, This draft has to deliver them a franchise player. If it's not Bedard, it's Fantilli or somebody else who rises through the ranks from now until draft time. They have to knock this pick out of the park.
Yeah.
And any sort of risk like Michkov, I'm not taking it. I'm sorry. If he ends up being the best of the three, cool. I'm not taking that chance where the Hawks are right now. There's no way. You need someone to come in and be sure they're going to come in and be part of this team.
And what is nice is that the Blackhawks are going into this season. I guess not nice. What is a silver lining? Because this rebuild should have happened a few years ago. What is a silver lining is that they're going into this process, into a draft that has multiple options to where you're like, you know what? This player has a bright future and could potentially change the direction of this franchise. It's not going into a draft class where you're like, if you don't get the first overall pick, what
all
a waste.
Lost, right?
All is lost. You know, it's you know what? If they don't land Connor Bedard, there's two other players at the time, right now, at two other players where you could go, you know what? They could land Adam Fantilli and he could come into the NHL right away and he could be a difference maker and he could be part of why the rebuild is shorter than previously expected. Michkov, I'm with you on that. It's very risky.
If they get 3, do you take them?
God, I don't know. I think it's a fair discussion because of where I think the Blackhawks want the pace at which the Blackhawks want the rebuild to take. Yes, they're going to be patient with development, but I think they're looking at this draft as saying we need someone who is going to be right in the lineup, ready to go.
How about this? If the Hawks get 3, do you trade 3 and another first for 2?
I think
we got a long time to talk about this.
You really,
but it's fun.
I think that's where internal discussions around the league will have to maybe whoever has 2 tips their hand a little bit as who they're favoring, because if the Blackhawks really don't feel confident about Michkov at 3, if that's the case, and the team ahead of you is talking about, we'll probably go Fantilli unless someone gives us whatever. That's a discussion you have to think about.
Yep. We got a guy in the comments, Jason Smith, who we haven't seen before. He is a Ball Arena employee, and he's got some thoughts. He says, although I also thought Toews was totally washed, I don't see all the game, but what I saw, he looked better than I expected. Obviously, one game proves nothing and remains to be seen. Yeah, but we were talking to AJ downstairs, too. Colorado's got their eye on Toews as a deadline acquisition.
From reports from people who you can trust.
Yeah, I mean that is something that it's been talked about, and the reason that obviously Toews has to agree, right, and he has to go to Kyle Davidson and say I want to go somewhere. That all has to happen, but it's a matter of the contract getting affordable enough for the trade to happen, which probably means they wait until the last minute to make it happen if it does at all.
Yeah.
So having a good showing here means something, so
it helps. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we'll have time to kind of talk about this after it happens, but there's a bit of sadness with
for sure.
Toews and Kane and this whole thing ending. And, the dynasty's been over for a while, but like to have those last 2 pieces, the 2 names that are synonymous with each other, potentially gone from this franchise it's gonna be a tough pill to swallow. As much as we kind of daydream about like, oh, what could they get back, and it'd be great to get this and that for Toews and this and that and that and that and that and that, and that for Kane. It's still gonna be tough to see those guys in other uniforms. And again, we've got all year to talk about it, but I can see that's where people's heads are at, right? Everyone's looking at this franchise 2-3 years down the road, and whatever happens this year, Toews and Kane probably aren't going to be there for it.
I think most people don't see 19 and 88 being on the ice for the Blackhawks beyond this season. And we've had many months of discussions of trading Jonathan Toews and trading Patrick Kane, and I think we've gotten to the point where the sting of that conversation is gone because it's kind of the expectation now.
Right.
It's the expectation
Yeah.
that they're not going to be here. At this point last year, whole calendar ago, the thought of Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane not finishing their careers as Blackhawks, not getting, we were talking about, okay, well, what are they going to do for extensions?
Yeah.
Will Jonathan Toews take a pay cut because he's not worth it anymore to be able to pay him the same as Patrick Kane? That's where the thought process was. It wasn't when do they get traded and where and what's the return. It's what potential extensions are there going to be. So yeah, there is a lot. I think there's a lot of buried sadness and pain that is going to be had by Blackhawks fans, if and when both of those guys are gone at some point this season. But I think, as the acceptance of the rebuild has generally been had by the fan base and especially by those within the organization now, I think a lot of that sting has been taken off, and it's still going to hurt. But I think that is the reality, and it's definitely not something that Blackhawks fans in the last 15 years have really had a reality like that. So
True.
It's tough.
You know what else is tough? Golf. I suck at it, quite frankly.
Yeah, but at least
But I want to look hot. I want fat guy summer.
Yeah, you can
That's what I
look
call
good
it.
doing it.
Hell
And,
yeah.
and it's we're at the middle point of October. We're
guess
getting to
fat
the
guy
middle
autumn
point
at this
of October. I'm not too well versed in the golf course landscape of Denver and Colorado. but
Elevated desert. We learned this
yeah,
yesterday.
we learned that. I'm
Fun fact.
learning things at 32
I was
years
like,
old.
what's
is
the
good.
deal with all the rock lawns? Elevated desert.
Yeah,
Okay. Who knew?
you learned
I
something.
think
new.
Colorado snow.
Yes,
That's liquid last time I checked.
yeah. Well,
Hashtag science.
that's how it works. But to look good on the golf course, whether you're out there as the season changes and the temperature drops here in October, or if you've packed up your bags, your golf bag, and are waiting till the weather gets better in the spring, you're going to be looking good out on the course with some Pins and Aces golf apparel. They are the official golf apparel partner of CHGO and the presenting sponsor of the Big Drive Energy Golf Podcast on the All City Network. And their apparel, their golf bags, their hats, they are going to get you set up for looking great out on the course. They are a family-owned business, which you got to love. And again, they're going to get you decked out head to toe. And they even have golf bags that come with a beer sleeve in it that can store up to 7 of your favorite cold beverages and keep them cold through the entire round, which is just a fantastic innovation for out on the golf course. So go to pinsandaces.com and use the promo code CHGO. When you do that, you're going to get 15% off of your first order, and you're going to get free shipping on that order. Again, that's pinsandaces.com, and the promo code is CHGO.
And remember, we've got our tailgate coming up November 6th.
Yeah.
Bears-Dolphins,
Bears
revenge
tailgate.
for the single loss in 1985, my friends. The revenge game is upon us. And when you go there, go to allchgo.com to get your tickets. You're going to see our sweet-ass Chi-Town Cornhole bag sets
Yep.
that they sent us that look absolutely phenomenal. Starring Nux, our guy Nux there, is all over the bag sets. They are the #1 cornhole provider for Chicagoland and Illinois since 2007. Their signature box style design can be digitally printed, covered in vinyl, and painted. It looks absolutely unreal. I could not believe how good these looked. LEDs that light up the hole so you can play at night knowing where your bag's going. It's always a good thing.
Night
The
bags.
exterior has handles for easy carrying, and they've got handcrafted like abacus style
Helps you keep
scorekeepers.
score.
And much like the beer sleeve at Pins and Aces, the beer holders on the back of the bag sets, they're awesome. They're veteran owned and operated. That's a great thing. They can ship anywhere. They also offer local pickup. They specialize in corporate designs for your company's next marketing or social event. They're great wedding gifts or a gift for all occasions. I'm looking into a bag set for my wife's grandma who's turning 101 soon.
Hey-o.
And she is a bag ringer.
There you go.
At 100 years old, she will whoop your ass in some bags. So I'm looking for a new set for her. It's great for tailgaters.
That's awesome.
Backyard barbecues. Chi-Town Cornhole is the place to go. So go get yourself a sweet set of bags at Chi-Town Cornhole. I think we're good, right? We're done. Game 1 in the bag.
Put it in the bag.
This has been
1-0.
That's right. Tank standings 1-0. Look, want to really genuinely thank DNVR for hosting us here.
Yes.
Everybody at the company has been super welcoming, super awesome. It's funny, like we walk in here, we meet these people in person for the first time, and it's like we're meeting friends we've had for years. It's just been great. We're jumping into the Avalanche live stream. We're doing crossover shows. The All City Network is such a great thing. We're so proud to be part of it, and to be here and see like the full realization of it. It's so exciting. It's so exciting to know, already how far we've come since March and where we're headed in the next 2 years, 3 years.
It's only going to get
it's only going to get bigger and better. So thank you all for your support. Thanks to Allie for producing our show tonight. We greatly, and for everything you did for us all week. Allie's the MVP of All City. That's true. That is the damn truth. Everybody here knows it. So thank you to her and everybody here, of course. Make sure you smash that like button if you haven't. Subscribe on your favorite podcast app. And if you're feeling generous as a Game 1 gift for us, leave us a 5-star Apple Podcast review. It would be greatly appreciated. Guess what? The Hawks play tomorrow night.
Ooh.
We will be with you after the game tomorrow night. Oh, no, we're not taking a day off. We're back, baby.
No
we are
days
back
off.
tomorrow night after the Hawks and the Phil Kessels do battle in the low desert. We're in the elevated desert. Now we're going to the lower desert.
I guess, yeah.
It's a desert world tour.
I took geography
Blackhawks.
twice in college. You'd think I would know.
Yeah. I don't know. Rockalons all over Colorado. Who knew?
Also want to shout out everyone in the chat tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Seeing some new names, appreciate
Definitely.
that. Seeing some familiar names, also greatly appreciate that. Come along with us. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a journey.
Hop on a ride.
And hop on that ride.
And tell a friend. If you got a Hawks fan, loving friend, or look, every Chicago sports team is covered.
Misery loves company.
Absolutely.
So bring your Blackhawks friends along for the ride with you.
Let's have fun together for the next 81 games, and then the draft lottery, and then the draft, and then free agency, and all that fun stuff. We're happy to have you with us. Thanks for tuning in to Game 1 of the 2022-23 Blackhawks season on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.